Hi, good morning. I'm here to welcome you. Ooh, that was a close call. That was a close coffee call. Hi, good morning, good morning. Thank you for being here today. My name is Lorraine. I'm co-chair of the forum group, which are about a dozen people. And my co-chair is Mark. He's away. And we have the pleasure of working with Bruce Wiggins on the technology. Thank you. Amen. Yes, thank you. By the way, we could use one more person, maybe two more people who could consistently be here to work on our computer. Right now, it's just Mark. I do not know what to do with it. So, and Bruce comes in and we have people who can stop in, but we really need some consistent helpers with the computer. So just saying. Also wanted to extend greetings from Phyllis. Phyllis is in rehab at Catholic Home. She's got some back problems, but she wanted to say hi to everybody because she's always here for the forum and she's part of the foundation of the forum. So she is here in spirit. And she said you could call and leave a message on her cell phone. So she's set for that. There's a basket at the door that is money for the forum expenses, usually a computer widget or some microphone or something. So if you have something, drop it in the basket. And we have a sign-in sheet for the Monarch people. I'm going to pass this around so that you know what it's about. So, and you can sign up if you'd like to be on their list. And right now I'd like to introduce Barbara Lee, who will introduce Barb Agnew.
Okay. I was confused.
Welcome everyone. I can't quite get to the microphone, but can you hear me okay? Yes. Well, as you know, there's a huge fight that goes on here in Milwaukee between the developers and the desire to conserve land for other creatures. So Barb Agnew has been at the forefront of all of this, struggling to maintain the grounds that were on in Milwaukee County. And she's here to tell us more about her own evolution in this regard, but also the ways in which this Friends of the Monarch Trail has emerged to take up the charge. And we hope to support whatever she's doing. Thank you so much, Barb.
Okay.
You got the mic ready? Thanks for inviting me to speak. This presentation, I hope, will help you understand monarchs better, what is leading to their dramatic decline, and what we all can do to help. First, though, here's a brief video that shares our story of our rare annual roost site over on the county grounds and the efforts to protect it. I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna play the video, and I'm not sure if the people on Zoom will be able to hear it. Our speakers aren't that loud, so we'll just see how well it goes. It's just 3 minutes.
It all started here. The Monarch Trail on the county ground in Milwaukee began with a magnificent sycamore tree, 100 years old. For over 20 of those years, I and many others have been watching migrating monarchs stop their trees here in September. I'm Barb Agnew, founder of the Monarch Trail.
They all ended up right here on the highest point.
Each year, the Cumberland Milwaukee Roost area fills with monarchs on their 2,500-mile trip to Mexico. It is part of an international migration that culminates in the amazing wintering site in Michoacan. The county grounds has a rich and long history. The Monarch Trail is chapter 4 or maybe 5 in a 20-year saga to save it from development. There was fierce determination 10 years ago that saved the 2 groves of trees, including this old sycamore, so they could continue as a migratory rest stop for the monarchs. For the past 15 years, however, construction and development on the county grounds has put pressure on the wildlife, challenged the recovery, and reduced the population. While recovery has taken time, we are finally seeing success. Years of work are paying off. Monarchs are once again drawn to the recovering meadows of wildflowers and by the canopy of the mature stands of trees that we need. The county grounds is a migration corridor. It's a flyway, and every year the grounds have provided the respite for traveling butterflies and birds. Birds migrating as far south as Peru and Argentina find essential food and rest here. Bobolinks, swifts, bluebirds, and meadowlarks, all on the move. It is a menagerie of wildlife passing through the middle of this urban oasis. As we quietly walk along the narrow path, hundreds of monarchs first come through. While we remain optimistic, another threat remains. Development plans continue. An office park next to this habitat. How much is too much? And how tall is too tall? The international monarch migration is still in current, and this site is too precious to be isolated. Any development must first consider what is at stake and design buildings to be environmentally sensitive to this fragile ecosystem. They need to be designed so they don't harm migrating birds or alter the unique environments here. We know how to do this right. We need to choose to do this right. We have saved a critical link in the migration chain, the lifeline for the monarch survival. The monarch habitat here is still fragile and vulnerable. Our fierce determination, persistence, and our passion will continue to defend this area, the wildlife and the monarch butterflies have.
Whoops. All right, so there we are. The monarch butterfly has revitalized our interest in nature and has become the recognized representative of pollinators and birds. Because of the monarch's decline, we're inspired and motivated to learn about the multitude of environmental issues that have impacted this insect, how it's all connected, and what we can do to help. What is it about these monarchs? They're captivating, beloved, bold, and resilient. They're unbelievable. They're comforting, and many have called them life-changing. Once utterly common, its future is now uncertain unless we learn what it needs and how to protect it. Okay, so an adult female monarch can lay 100 to 300 eggs. The egg, no bigger than a pinhead, hatches in 4 to 5 days. The caterpillar, once hatched, grows quickly and sheds its skin 5 times. They're called instars. And the chrysalis, in about 8 days, hatches into a full-grown butterfly. They are vulnerable at every stage of their life cycle. Predators of all sizes will eat the various stages of this butterfly, but that's why she lays so many. Everybody gets to eat. And here's what they need. In their larval stage, milkweed. Milkweed is the only plant a monarch larvae can eat. But during the migration, they do not eat milkweed, but instead late blooming native nectar plants. They need fuel in September to get all the way to Mexico. Monarchs occur in other parts of the world. Only the South American monarchs migrate north to increase their populations with milkweed in North America. It is this migrating population that is in danger of extinction. It's more difficult to protect this biological phenomenon than it is an actual species. That may be part of the reason why the listings as endangered continue to be questioned. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature has recently rescinded its endangered title. But we need to remember that the research and the reasons they were first declared endangered are still facts. The facts are that monarch populations continue to decline, and given the current population downward trajectory, monarchs have about 5 years before they would drop below a sustainable population. Why? Monarchs are a mere 20% of their former population. What is driving these severe declines? Habitat loss, use of chemicals, and climate change. So habitat loss, we hear that all the time. What does it mean? Breaking it down, agriculture is 165 million acres and development 2.2 million acres annually. That's 6,000 acres a day. Fragmentation and fewer nectar sources during the migration is also harming their ability to get to Mexico. And invasive non-native plants are advancing 1.7 million acres every year. And then there's lawn, 40 to 50 million acres of lawn in the United States. So here is a classic example of earthwork that destroys everything. The landscape on the county grounds was completely changed. Everything alive was scraped off, and it was regraded by 30 feet in some places and compacted, leaving the soil structure very unbalanced. What has come back is in large part invasive plants, little by little. Chemicals. Scientists cite many factors in the fall off of the world's insect population, but worst is the ubiquitous use of pesticides. A major study warned that 40% of all insect species face extinction due to these pesticides. Our traditional farms have been converted to intensive agriculture, and they use neonicotinoids as the pesticide. They are some of the most deadly pesticides ever created, and they're absorbed by the plant, making the entire plant deadly toxic, including its nectar, pollen, and fruit. At home, we use readily available chemicals to take care of things in the garden. And they claim that they are safe for humans and pets. Our chemicals are organic, and at such low concentration, it doesn't affect anything else. Also on the bottle, it says, controls many insects, including caterpillars. On the bottle, it also says, keep in mind that this garden insect spray can harm beneficial insects such as bees, butterflies, and other beneficial things. One of the main ingredients in this one is spinosyn. A firsthand example, and I've got lots, but I'm just going to give you this one. The butterfly wing at our museum, a number of years ago, they had a fruit fly infestation. So some of the workers there thought, okay, we'll hang those little fruit fly houses all over in there. And yes, the next day, all the butterflies were dead. There was a tiny article in the journal about it, but they didn't want to advertise that, I think. So we have to think about it before we use these things. You can't believe everything you read. And the climate is changing. The monarchs depend on environmental cues, temperatures to trigger population, migration, and hibernation. The milkweed, too, is affected by temperatures and drought and extremes. There have been years where the spring is very warm, the monarchs come north, and the milkweed isn't up yet. So the changes in these weather patterns are seriously hurting monarchs. Some of the storms, and extreme temperatures, let's see, 2015 and 2016, the season was disastrous in Mexico because of a freeze that occurred late on their wintering site. So here we are amidst a pretty bad situation. But everything we do for monarchs, whether it's simply planting milkweed or getting involved in an organization, helps all of these other essential insects that are part of the web. We got this. We can do this. And as the Senegalese forestry engineer Baba Diam said in 1968, in the end, we will conserve only what we love. We will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we were taught. So we taught, and we've been teaching ever since out on the trail, helping people understand, starting with little kids, who all fell in love with the site. And we saved it. So the county grounds was a place we loved, but would never be the same due to the dramatic changes that occurred. Let's see. These alterations created a different, less functional, less beneficial, and less able to provide resources for monarchs. While the roost trees were preserved, the surroundings became a desert with no life at all. So you can see the two orange spots there. That was preserved. We saved them, and that's where they roosted. But if you look all around, there was nothing left for them to be drawn in or to repopulate on that site. So yes, it was very scary. It was very hard for us, but we kept going. And after that project, the UWM clearing began, but we did not lose hope. We got to work. As you can see, the little kid on the right side of the screen there, there's a bag of seeds in his pocket. So the challenge continues. The upside is we still have something to restore, and we've been doing it ever since. The future's in our hands. Let's get going. Give up a little lawn. Americans have spent $105 billion keeping their lawns verdant and neat. This comes at a huge environmental cost. It is the largest irrigated crop in the United States. We learned that a perfect lawn was beautiful. We learned that each plant should stay right where you planted it in the garden. And we learned that no bug should eat it. We need to really rethink what we've learned. Plant natives. The root systems say it all. The root systems for native plants go deep. They sequester carbon. They absorb storm water. They slow storm water and runoff, and they provide food for wildlife. And if you look at the little tiny where the arrow is pointing, that is the root system of lawn. And that is why it needs so much of our precious water. Okay, so let's get gardening. Pick a spot, any spot.
Get this little clear.
Okay, sorry. Along the edge of the driveway or fence line, around the mailbox, between the garage and the house, anywhere that you want some little bitty garden, it's going to help. If you plant it, it's going to support our wildlife. Or put it in a pot. I think container gardening is underrated. Whoever lives in an apartment knows this. I've been living in an apartment my entire adult life, but it never stopped me from having a butterfly garden. And if you look at the left, we started in this new little apartment with some pots. And on the right, you can see me sitting there behind the monstrous garden, and it's all in containers. So it is possible to do this. And host plants. Did you know that every butterfly has a different host plant? So we know monarchs eat milkweed, but each butterfly has evolved alongside a different plant. Without that plant, you would not have that species of butterfly. So again, non-native plants do not support our native butterflies. Another thing.
Before you go on the bottom, there says willow, it looks like a monarch there.
It's not. That is a viceroy. Yep. Yep, viceroy. So, and of course, who's going to plant stinging nettle in their yard for the red admirals? Put it in a little pot on the side of the garden, like I have. All right. And then also in the fall, we go through and we clean all of the stuff off the top of the garden and we rake it clean and throw it away. Every butterfly, every native Wisconsin butterfly stays here. The monarch goes south, but they stay here in various stages: egg, caterpillar, chrysalis, and even the adult butterflies will live in the bark of trees. But once you cut everything and scrape it off and throw it away, that's next year's butterfly crop. There's stuff in there. So put it in a pile off to the side if you need to. But just remember, there's life in there. Okay. There are other things. Oh, here are some helpful tips, of course. Work together. Make it a neighborhood project. Mulching around young plants helps to keep moisture, especially if you're not within watering distance. Anybody who gardens for vegetables, it's very similar to pollinator gardening. And don't use chemicals. There are many milkweeds in Wisconsin, not just the common milkweed. And a lot of people are concerned that it's going to take over, or they don't have sun, and there is a milkweed for pretty much any situation. Our plant sale, which goes online in March and is in person in May, has all of the different milkweeds native to Wisconsin, including the poke milkweed, which is a milkweed for shade. The red, showy world milkweed does well in a drought. Sullivan's gets tall and does well in prairie type settings, common. And of course, the butterfly milkweed, the orange one, sort of stays in one place, a little bit more cooperative. And the effect, the blend of native wildflowers is stunning. There are other things you can do. There are places you see milkweed, like at the gas station or in front of the grocery store or somewhere, and they just keep pulling it out, or they cut it down, or they spray it. Go in and ask, can you leave this? This is what it's about. Or put up a little sign. I've designed a sign that I put, and oftentimes they'll say yes. So if it's in a ditch, or like I said, off in the field where they mow it, find out, or just guerrilla it and put a little sign there. I think more often than not, it works. I did it at Piggly Wiggly in Brookfield, and everybody there, all the clerks and everybody they're all excited about it. It's been there now for 5 years, and it's doing remarkable. Even the people who come to clean it out, mostly Hispanic, they know what it is, and they save it. No, we're not taking that out. So just know that people are open to it. So leave it where it's already growing. Another thing you can do is adopt a median. There are some people who are pretty eager, who will commandeer a median that's sort of neglected. Jim Price has done this it's Milwaukee, but it's close to Wauwatosa. And they did some construction and tore it all up. And he said, can I plant it? And they said, yes. And little by little, over 10 years of nurturing, it has become the place that everybody goes when they're going for a walk. He teaches people as they're going by, and it produces many monarchs each year. So the future is in our hands. And a quote from Margaret Mead rings true. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So why do we try? In the hope of bringing back what we once had for those who will otherwise never have the chance to see it. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can do this. Okay, questions? This is just background noise. Oh, goodness. Yes.
Just stay in front of the microphone, please, so they'll
Got
hear it.
Okay.
And you also need to repeat the question.
Okay.
To the microphone. I was not clear about the role of MMSD. What they did.
They built two retention basins, and it was originally meant to be planted with natives, but overturned and disrupted soils have a tendency to allow invasives to take over. So.
Or I work for MMC, I actually talked to that whole part. Really want to thank her for preventing some of our engineers from over-engineering. So, yeah, it was the fact that when we hire contractors to do our construction projects, we have to go think locally. And sometimes the afterthought, and this is changing, but not fast enough to mind, is the management, the land management, after we are done tearing everything up. We came back and we had some grandiose plans without. Unfortunately, the maintenance of that growing and the plants that we put in, which first was turned over to the Long County, and then now it's been a long time. We have a lovely crop of Phragmites and
And now it's grown back.
but we have had a series of maintenance vegetation management to try to collect that. It's just a really long fight.
It's a beast. Yeah. And it's such a large area. It has so much potential. So that and County Grounds Park, you should write a grant and get it all done. Okay, next question.
There's this form with the information that's got complete from. I've done some work on along the river here with a number of different groups, you know, called the River Consolidation Foundation, where we brought land back as prairie. It's just really quite remarkable what the River Valley offers us for this. I'm glad you mentioned that there's other insects that, because insects, not just monarchs are important.
Oh, God, yes.
Sometimes when you go to these things, you just hear about monarchs, but there's no other insects out there. They migrate down to Mexico. Why did they go to this mountainous area in Mexico?
I'm not sure anybody knows why. Oh, his question is, why do the monarchs migrate down to the mountainous area in Mexico? And I'm not sure I know the answer to that.
I think
Okay, he's going to answer the question.
Why don't you do it in my spin, so, people can hear.
I'm sure.
Be careful, there's all kinds of things on the floor.
Well, I was at another one of these presentations and they were talking about that they go down to Mexico, and I'm thinking, why are they going there? It's kind of near the equator, which is kind of hot. So this is up at elevation. So what they do is they go down into this mountainous area and they just land on the trees and they just kind of hibernate there. Although they can't, you had mentioned that not a lot of the monarchs were killed because they got too cold. So what you want to do is you at elevation like that, you're in an area where it doesn't usually get below freezing. So they just hang out there during the cold part. And then when it gets warm, they start to migrate out. It's, I mean, I believe that's the reason why they, not that they know, as a scientist, it's like, we are always projecting, they evolved that way.
Hey, Bob. Barb, can you stop sharing your screen, please? And I think I'll be able to see you and
I don't know how to do that.
on bottom share screen. Click on the one. Yeah, where you're.
I got it. Hang on. Got it. All right.
Now, we should be able to see, why is that not working?
It's okay. I don't. Next question. Oh, yes.
Hi, thank you for being here. I first became interested in butterflies and their migration in reading a book by Barbara Kingsolver called Flight Behavior.
Yeah.
And so Jack and I have tried to do things locally meaning in our own yard.
Sure.
So I'm not sure what, I have bad eyesight, so I couldn't read the fine print up there, but could you talk a little bit more about the specific types of host flowers and whether or not we last couple of years, we've been doing no mow May. I don't know if that makes any difference or not. It's unsightly to me because I'm used to manicured grass.
Yeah.
But he likes it because he doesn't have to mow it. So if you could just talk a little bit more about what you can do in your own yard. I like the potted thing that you were that you showed and explained. That's an inspiration.
Her question is, what can people do in their own yard and what kinds of different host plants are possible? And I will say that at our plant sale, one of our collections of plants that you can buy is, we used to call it a caterpillar care package, but it's host with the most now. And it's a number of different host plants for different butterflies. So learning what each butterfly needs helps. A lot of people have now learned about the swallowtail. And the eastern black swallowtail will eat fennel, dill. The original of that plant is Zizia or golden Alexanders, all related. And so those things will draw in the eastern black swallowtail. Trying to think, asters bring in the pearly crescent spot. Pussy toes, which is Anopheles, brings in the American painted lady. So, and there's very little of that around. So when you do plant it, if she finds it, it's going to get eaten up by lots of caterpillars. And I used to have people, they came into the shop and would say, there's all this stuff eating my plant. And it's like, oh, that's wonderful. It's butterflies. And people are still kind of hot and cold with that. You got to just let them have it. And in the case of the pearly everlasting or pussy toes, they eat it in one fell swoop and it comes back. The plant does. So once that generation of caterpillars has, metamorphosized, I think your plant is fine. So I hope that helps. And container gardening, just do it. It's wonderful. Next question over there.
Where do you find this plant sale, and also, where do you find the information that was in the slide?
Okay, let me think about it. repeat the question. Where is the plant sale and when? And where do we find information about what's in the slides? The plant sale, if you sign up with your email, we will send you the launch of the online plant sale, and we will, and the link. And then also we'll let you know when the actual sale is. It's on Mother's Day weekend, which has been actually a really wonderful time to do it. It's at the Greenfield Park Pavilion. So we invite people to come, take a walk around the lagoon, see the baby ducks, and then come into the pavilion there and pick up a Mother's Day bag of pollinator plants or whatever plants you choose. We have many different native plants, including 6 of the milkweeds, and then all of those other late blooming nectar sources. There's plenty of people on hand to explain to you which ones do what. It's become a really great opportunity for us to both fundraise and also teach people about what they can do and specify it toward what space you have. So again, March is when we launch the online sale. May is the actual pickup and come shop sale. And if you sign up, we would love that. And we'll send you information about when that's occurring. The slideshow, the one with, you're referring to the whole thing? I wonder. I might be able to put it up on the Monarch Trail's website. So if you, I have brochures on this table here as well. That has our website. It has my contact information. So maybe someone can pick them up and pass them around so that everyone has the Monarch Trail information. And okay.
I'm part of the Friends of Lincoln Park.
Cool.
Anyway, we are reestablishing our kindergarten and have a very limited budget.
Okay.
So, do you know anything about collecting seeds?
I don't know how much space you have, but the Friends of the Monarch Trail do. We have a seed processing thing that we do every fall. And for all of the Friends groups, we'll donate seed to your project. We have common and swamp, and I think some of the orange milkweed seed. And we've tried to be, just spreading it everywhere. And our comrades, the other Friends groups, are certainly a place we want to encourage that. So.
When is it available?
It's available now. It's certainly being refrigerated and everything. It's been processed. If you want to send me an email,
Yeah.
that would be great. And it's on the brochure. Okay? Yes.
There was a slide of, I think it was Jim's garden.
Uh-huh.
Where is that?
It's by Jacobus Park.
In the city?
Right on the border of Wauwatosa and Milwaukee County.
Usually you have to get permission from the Department of Public Works.
Yeah, he's got all of the permissions. Yeah.
And so the Public Works Department has been receptive to that.
Yes, when Jim started the garden in the median is the question. He got to be pretty good friends with Milwaukee County, the Public Works Department. They've even donated excess trees to him to put out there, some native avalanchers and other things.
City.
Yes, the city
Oh.
going to our meeting will.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it really is a triangle of different places. You've got Milwaukee, the city, Milwaukee, the county, and also Wauwatosa right there. So whoever he deals with, they're all for it.
I guess I'd recommend that people, if they want to try that, go through their other person to get the right connection and.
Yes, great idea. Go through the alder people or contact the landowners or whatever. I always encourage that.
My other question then is similar about what the Parks Department is doing. Is there receptivity from the Parks Department for creating pollinator areas? We heard about Friends of Lincoln Park, but what about other parks?
Yeah, the Natural Areas Coordinator for Milwaukee County Parks, Brian Russert, does many projects for coordinating natural areas. And I know that all of the different Friends groups have done amazing things in their parks. So they all support a different park, such as Lincoln. I know La Follette and others have put in pollinator gardens, so.
And there's a new Parks Foundation, have you contacted that staff and done your presentation with them?
The park people of Milwaukee County, I know, I think that's where the Parks Foundation started. It was sort of a dovetail off of that.
Now it's separate.
I know the people, I stay in contact with them. I don't know.
They're separate because the foundation has a fundraising arm. Sometimes it's, I'm part of the park. The foundations are separate from mine.
Yeah, they are separate. So,
But they are separate.
oh,
I can talk about
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
I've heard that there's only one monarch or one milkweed that monarchs will eat. Is that true, like the world milkweed?
The question is, she's heard that there's only one milkweed that the monarchs will eat. No, that is not correct. They will eat any of the milkweeds, anything in the Asclepias family. So they have favorites, and in this area, of course, the common is good. Swamp is also a wonderful attractant for the monarchs, but they will lay eggs on any of those other varieties. You know.
Just one last thing, Barb, you mentioned the turf grass.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of homeowners don't understand, a lot of times when their home was constructed, heavy equipment was used. We live in a heavy clay soil there. So heavy equipment is used to build your house and dig your foundation. It compacts that soil to a consistency of concrete. Your turf grass has roots, and she has a great slide that shows that turf grass has about 1.5 inches. That's why it goes dry and dormant during droughts. When you plant these species, I think you could talk about that at a time camp. Those species are important to start breaking up that clay soil. You have water problems in your basement. It also prevents water pollution in the stormwater because then the nutrients and the chemicals that people erroneously put on their lawn ends up going into the soil and not running off into the street where it ends up in our water system. I don't know if you can speak to that at all, Barb.
Yeah, David is bringing up the fact that when they built your home, a lot of the surrounding area to build it, your lawn area, has been compacted by the heavy machinery. And so that small layer of topsoil is sitting on top of a bed of clay. And with the turf grass, it just sits on the top basically and will need a lot of water. If you plant natives, it's going to start breaking through that clay soil. It's going to absorb more water. It's going to prevent water in the basement. So I think the difference here is that the lawn is not very helpful in any way, unless you got kids that want to play, and that's fine. But just know that the native plants really go down and help break up that soil. Any other questions or comments?
Barb,
Yes, Barbara.
talk a little bit about your educational programming, working with children.
Okay. So I don't have anything her question was our educational programming. We don't have a specific educational programming. There are some of the STEM schools that will call for requests to take the kids out on the trail and teach them things. We did some work with one of the school boards to put in a pollinator garden, and we worked very closely with them. Let me think what else. People request our presentations often and guided tours. I think the trail, I give many guided tours out on the trail in summer, just to show what we've done, how far it's come, the different plant types, the different ecosystems that are out there. We've got wetlands, meadow, just every kind of ecosystem, prairie. And it's an amazing place to teach people.
Is it accessible?
It is not. The question was, is it accessible? You can pull into the apartment complex and park right next to the Sycamore area. You can get into that section, and there are benches all throughout the trail that people will stop at. But as for paving it or anything, we have really chosen to keep it a very narrow trail because of all of the apartment dwellers. Everyone has a dog, which are not allowed on the trail. Everyone wants to bike through there. And we're on our hands and knees planting, or we're teaching, and to have these other things, bicycles and or dog walkers, would be not a good idea. So in effect, that sort of leads to the fact that having it be accessible to everyone is difficult. I think Janine used to go out and sit under the sycamore tree with many friends that couldn't take the whole trail, but you've got everything right there. You've got beautiful benches. One is now in her and her husband's memory. So, and we've had little gatherings right there, and that you can get to, so. Yes.
What time of year did you take those pictures of the butterflies all over the sycamore tree?
There are two areas where they were roosting and pictures were taken. September. And there is no telling when. Everybody says, when are they coming? And it's like September. So, yes, ma'am.
When I was in Plainwood, we had a patch of milkweed, but in the whole time I was there, I only saw two monarchs, and I was in the winter, and it was under pine trees. Does that have something to do with it?
Her question is, she had a patch of milkweed and it was next to some pine trees and only had two monarchs. I'm not sure that the pine tree had anything to do with it. It may be that it was more difficult for the monarchs to see it, or that there was another patch somewhere nearby that looked better. You know, there's really no telling what, what drives them or what draws them in. Were there other colorful flowers nearby yours? Or, because I'm wondering, sometimes they will see only the milkweed. Sometimes, throw in a zinnia or something and they'll see it. And then they'll come in, take a little drink and lay their eggs on the milkweed. Well, I'm so happy you decided to have me come. This is a wonderful group, and thank you.